on the points that have been raised there, and just a reminder of the size and scale of Greville Reserve. This is my speaking turn. The size and scale of Greville Reserve, the size and scale of Victoria Park, in both instances considerable investment into them, but they were larger areas that had a plan from the outset. It wasn't simply a proposal was put forward because no one was doing anything with the land, therefore let us suddenly come up with a reason why we should keep it, because that's what's happening here. So I echo the sentiments of Member Hale, and I just reiterate that what is a better approach, I think, is to be cooperative with the governing body here and to say that this is not a particularly useful piece of land as it currently stands. It was acquired for transport purposes. It should be disposed of because it's no longer acquired for that purpose. However, as a timely reminder that we do have a lack of open space, quality open space available in that area. Now, we can have a whole bunch of little areas available, and I know that other members have alluded to the fact that that is unfortunately one of the legacies of North Shore City Council and other city councils and poor planning in terms of open space acquisitions, where when there's a subdivision or there's larger developments, we sort of get the little piece at the end or the bottom or the most unusable or undevelopable piece of land. So why would we further that by then allowing for a piece that is never acquired for any amenity value or any kind of open space value and use for it, and instead why would we allow for that to continue to be on our books when it would deprive us of the opportunity to then tap into the acquisitions budget and request for a more usable quality open space in that area. So that's my comment on the matter. The amendment has been put, it's moved and seconded. Member O'Connor.
I would like to say thank you very much to Mr. Cohen for reminding me, there were friends of Councillor Darby. Their son wanted very much to have a little skateboard ramp up here, and we had presentation after presentation coming to our local board, but at that stage we actually were finishing off the road, and then of course the boy grew up and bought a car. And he could actually go skateboarding down in your area. Now, there is a little petanque court there that Joe's never seen anyone there, but then I know the people who do go and play petanque down there's a petanque court there. And I want to say from the social media, one Ali Hopwood said, this small piece of grass may not make 100% now, but in the 20 to 50 years, when it is surrounded by apartments, it will be the most valuable piece of dirt to a bunch of kids wanting to kick a ball around on the grass. Now, I think the piece of land down at Forest Hill, which is twice the size, would be the ideal place to have a skateboard ramp. Every time I go down and I see the skateboard park down at Victoria Park, I think it's wonderful that it's like the one in Lincoln Road, that it's open to the public, because the one that you've got in Devonport is secluded from the public and there can be bullying going on. If you can have a skateboard ramp on that 650 square metres opposite Westlake Girls, we've got 5 or 6 schools within 3 kilometres of that area. They've got apartments, and if they haven't got apartments, they've got sections covered in houses. The big houses are actually extending now over there's no outdoor space. I can see the kids in my area of the townhouses trying to play basketball on the street, and it's very, very sad. The future for our children is sitting in their room playing with their whatever, and that is little bits of grass will be around in the future. And I want to say thank you for Ali and all her friends that have said, don't sell this piece of land and leave this piece of grass alone, leave it alone. They had no idea that it could be sold. The public just see how lovely it is. The background is a hedge secluding the 2 little apartments, and it's just a little piece of grass in the front, which probably costs $15 to mow, because they'll be mowing the rest of it. And I cannot understand why we are so happy to sell our land. I actually find it quite incredible that people can sit here and say, oh, nobody uses it. They've been saying that for years. I've been hearing that for years. Oh, nobody uses it. Let's get rid of it. And the old Takapuna Borough Council, they surrounded, and the lady wrote today saying how lovely it is having a little secluded park in Selwyn Crescent, because they use their land, they built houses around their reserves. There's only a right-of-way, and the general public don't know they exist. They're like private reserves. But down at Hauraki, we haven't got private reserves. We've only just got one reserve. We've got Lake Town Green, and we've got this tiny bit of grass, which we are now saying, let's sell it. It's going to be really helpful to help Panuka gain their $65 million, or the rates go up. I think the people of Hauraki would say, blow to that. Let's keep, from the feedback on Facebook, I put the 2 photographs on. I told them exactly where it was, and they want to keep the land, but we, of course, we're in power, the council's in power. Do the council care about the little people? No. They just say, we don't use that land, nobody uses it, leave it alone. It's a beautiful piece, and the piece in which Member Hale didn't talk about, the corner of Esmond Road, that'll be the next one to be sold soon, and that's a beautiful park. The next one down at Eldon Road is beautiful. Why are we so adverse to a tiny bit of open space? Why do we hate open space? Are we the ones that have got backyards and front yards that say, people are going to be in apartments with no open space? Oh, well, of course, they've got the beach. Let's go down to the beach on the windy day. But these little parks are really special. And I think anybody that votes against this motion really should be looking at themselves and the future for their great-grandchildren.
With that, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Aye. Contrary? No. I'm going to declare it lost on the voices.
Why am I surprised?
A division has been requested. Mr. Perry?
Member Cohen?
Yes to the amendment.
Just for or against? For or against? For.
Member Gillen? For. Member Hale?
Against.
Member O'Connor?
For.
Member Rowe? Member, Mr. Chair?
Against.
Casting vote?
So it's declared equal, and then I will use my casting vote for it to be lost. For the amendment to be lost.
Will it be noted in the minute?
It will be. That's the point of a division. So with that in mind, we now go back to the substantive motion. Sorry, declared equal, and then, yeah, exercise, yeah.
Member Cohen has foreshadowed it.
So that's a foreshadowed motion which can be dealt with afterwards.
Oh,
but the motions that have been moved at this stage, A, B and C, which have not been amended, I'll put the motion.
Sorry, can I just see the...
No, I'll vote for the amendment.
Yeah, you can. Sorry, just one second. Yes, again, you can speak to it, Member Cohen. You don't have to, but you can. So, yeah, it will be A, B and C, which is currently showing as... I think we can see what's sort of... Okay, so the A, B and C there. You wanted to see it?
Well, there's another motion underneath.
That's being moved separately. That's foreshadowed motion.
Is it not contradictory to...
Request that passes?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So it's moved myself. Sorry, yes, you wanted to speak to it, Member Cohen.
Yeah, thank you very much. In regards, I have a complete lack of trust and confidence in the system as it stands at the moment. And as we heard in the Sunnyside case where land was going to be disposed of, the reply given was that if any staff member had have said no, it should not be disposed, the system would have stopped straight away. That's power. When it comes to the local boards, they can just as easily shrug their shoulders and continue. And so there's a real problem. We're meant to be the guardians and advocates and the leadership in our own community. Now, whether the parks have value or not value, I don't always know, but I would like to know a bit more information than what we've actually been given. In regards to the Forest Hill one, well, it's not exactly flat. It is actually a bit of a slope on it if you've walked it. And it could well be that, and I acknowledge your bit in it that suggests that we would like it ring-fenced and put into another piece of land. But as it's been explained to us, is that that's not within the bounds anyway. And so those are separate decisions to be made. And that's where the problems come up, that no one has actually done or shown to the board, if parks are so keen that it has no service value, what are we going to be doing in the future, in 5 years or 10 years' time? We haven't seen any information on it. And so we are meant to be making decisions on the best, to be informed and the best available information. I think we're being let down here because we've had no exposure as to why parks, for example, don't think it has any service value. And if it doesn't have any service value, what is their plan going forward to address the intensification of housing in that particular area? And so on that basis, because I'm not adequately informed and they have not articulated what their plan is, therefore I can't support it. In regards to the Lake Road one, I've acknowledged that I don't think the park functions adequately at the moment, and I'm really disappointed that now that I know that there was the extra land available that we could have perhaps used for a mini skateboard park, I can imagine it would make the area a lot more safer if you had lots of youth being able to play on a mini skateboard thing. So we're a bit cavalier in our approach of selling things off on the basis that we know in mature neighbourhoods like ours, our ability to buy new land is virtually non-existent. We saw that when we wanted to buy the fire station, which council acknowledged that the only basis we could buy it was on, oh, am I able to mention it because it wasn't confidential? I'm not breaching anything?
I don't know if those reports have been released, Member Cohen. The impetus is upon you if you wish to make a comment out publicly that you've ensured that it is not confidential information.
Well, I'm asking for guidance. Is it? I mean, given that it's been bought by somebody else, I'm not sure the relevance of it. Yeah. So, I mean, there was no justification to buy the building, but there was a degree of justification for buying it for open space. And so the question was that, and of course we didn't have the funds, or council weren't prepared to have the funds for it. So we are, in a mature area like ours, likely to be significantly disadvantaged when it comes to new acquisitions. And so until that's sort of sorted out, I'm really reluctant to be able to sell off anything until I'm reassured that it's actually being replaced with what someone else regards, like parks, with better quality open space.
No. Member Gillen, you've already spoken. Yes, but you're speaking to it in order to move the amendment that constitutes your speaking turn. So that's this time, no. Right, any further comments from those who haven't used their speaking turns? No. Then we'll put the motion. It's been moved and seconded. Division? Yes, okay. A division's been requested. Mr. Perry?
Member Cohen?
Because the chair's last.
There.
So you are... If you don't register a vote, Member Cohen, I'll have it abstained.
Member Gillen? Member Hale? Member O'Connor? Member Rowe? Mr. Chair?
4.
Casting vote.
Yes, it's declared equal. Sorry, the motion is declared equal, and therefore I'll use my casting vote 4, and it will be carried. Yes, it's noted in that. It's noted for that. So then you've got your subsequent motion.
Just before we get that, I'm asking you a question. Is in regards to where the committee it's going to, are you going to go and accept the board's in regards to the ring fencing of the area that's...
I may well. I don't know when specifically it's going. Letitia?
Yes, through the chair, I can let you know
Great.
tomorrow what meeting we'll be going to in
Great, thank you. Very good. So you're moving a subsequent motion?
Yes,
Member Cohen, so it's moved. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah.
Seconded by Member Gillen.
And just wonder,
Yes, speaking to the motion.
well, I'm just wondering, would it be helpful whether Mr. Khan would like to add an E to it, and that when any representative of this board goes to Panuku Development, where the council where the issue Panuku Development is presenting on our board issues, that the representative notes to the committee the division in the board has been 50-50.